Now, this week's guest is someone I just adore and I've known for a very long time. Actually, the first time I ever met him, he was dressed as Jesus Christ. He's a TV presenter, podcaster, online personality, and all-round total ride. It's the wonderful James Kavanagh.
Hello.
Welcome to You Had Me at Hello, and thanks for joining me.
I love this concept. I'm obsessed. I will be listening to this podcast.
Amazing. That's what we like
You've
to
won
hear.
listeners so far.
Yay, one. For you and my mum.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you so much for coming. You've come all the way up from the sticks where you now dwell.
I'm up in Dublin for the day. Don't they say
you're
that?
on your holliers.
I'm like, I'll have to come up for the Christmas shopping now.
December 8th.
Yes, I'm so excited to be a little culty.
So how are you finding it?
Loving it. I really am. The thing is as well, people are like, oh, do you miss Dublin and all that sort of stuff? But like, it's an hour and 20 minutes away.
Yeah, you're in Kilkenny. It's not.
Yeah,
the
and
end of the earth.
when we were looking for, we always wanted to move out of Dublin and have a bit more land and all that sort of stuff. And we were looking at some places in Cork, which I was like, I never think of geography or like stuff like that. I'm like, no, I want to live in the country, and I never really think, oh, actually, in practice, maybe I need to be a little bit closer to Dublin and stuff. So when we were looking in some areas of Cork, it was like 4.5 hours away and stuff. So I'm kind of glad now we chose somewhere that's a little bit closer. We still have the views, the space to have our chickens eventually, but I can nip to Dublin when I need to.
Exactly.
So,
on days like today when you want to come and play with me.
Exactly.
And I'm thrilled to have you. So tell us what film you've chosen.
So when you asked me, I was like, oh my God, do I like Remember? And then I was like, I like the best film in the whole world that it falls under that category, Titanic.
Woo! Oh my God. So
my favourite movie ever.
So Titanic by James Cameron, 1997. I have a very deep and meaningful relationship with Titanic myself, right? In that I was 11 when it came out, which was peak obsessive time.
Yeah.
With pre-teenage girls. And I convinced myself at the time that I actually died on the Titanic in a past life.
I get that, babe. Yeah.
Honestly. And like to this day, I don't like boats and I'm afraid of waves.
So no cruises for you?
No cruises for me,
Okay.
no. But yeah, I was completely obsessed. It was my Twilight, my Harry Potter, my Taylor Swift, all wrapped into one.
Same.
And like Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack Dawson was my sexual awakening.
And in Romeo and Juliet as well.
I
It was
watched
that era.
after, yeah.
But I was, if you ask gays, right, what were they obsessed with when they were small? A lot of them will say ancient Egypt and Titanic.
Right.
It's a real thing.
For me, it's ancient Greece and Titanic.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm pretty much a gay.
You are a gay man, yeah. But it's a real, it's so weird. It's like this weird, I think it's glamour. There's a lot of glamour in ancient Egypt and a lot of glamour with Titanic.
So you and I have a similar aesthetic to the point where you lent me your collection of ornate candlesticks for my wedding.
Oh my God, I did.
You did.
Didn't get an invite.
Oh my God, you did. I told you to come to the afters. It was very intimate. But do you think that Titanic and its splendour informed our aesthetic? Because my house now is full of old things that wouldn't look out of place in 1912. My house was built in 1912.
Oh, 100%. It also just informed like so much of my personality when I was younger. Like I remember sitting in the back of my dad's, like he had this Jeep thing, and whenever it would get steamy, I would smack my hand on the thing and like do the rose thing down the thing.
And did he know that you were doing that?
10. I'd say they had a thing. I'd be like, having my little rose moments.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
how old were you when Titanic came out in 97?
I was just like, what are you?
I'm 1986, so I was 11.
So I'm 1989. So I was
you
what?
were, we can't even count, 8.
I was about 8, yeah.
8.
And I remember I saw it in the classic cinema in Rathmines.
No way.
Do you remember that
I
cinema?
I loved it.
It was so gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I was with my mum and we sat kind of towards the back and we shared a hanky and we were both like bawling and my mum was like, the hanky was like disintegrating towards the end from the tears.
A paper hanky,
from the
there's your rookie mistake.
Yeah.
And
so
did you just see it the one time in the cinema?
I just saw it the one time in the cinema, but then I got it on VHS.
Yes.
And I actually miss VHSs and all that.
They were so tactile.
I know.
And chunky.
And the Titanic one, it was like in a blue VHS.
And it had
like a
smooth
royal
edges.
blue. Almost like this kind of blue.
The colour of my, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just this electric kind of royal blue colour. And I also remember the Spice World VHS
that was
green. Lime green.
It was Brack green.
They invented Brack green. So yeah, but then I also had the Titanic double VHS with the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, it had a book in it.
Yeah,
or a booklet.
It probably had a booklet, yeah.
Of pictures.
Yeah.
I had a laminated cinema poster behind my bed of Titanic, and it was the whole of the ship and Jack and Rose kind of in a clinch. And honestly, I was completely obsessed. So I've watched the film a million times. I saw it 8 times in the cinema because I started acting up until I was brought. So I went with everybody. I was 11, so I had to go with somebody. So I went with both my older cousins, both my parents, and then I went a couple of times with like friends from school and their parents. But 8 times in different cinemas around Dublin.
I would say I watch it several times a year as well.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, and any time it's re-released in the cinema, which is every anniversary or something, I always go.
It was in 3D last time.
I didn't see it in 3D, I don't think, or did I? Was it actual proper like shit coming at you?
Yeah, 25-year anniversaries. That was what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah. But Titanic, so...
I've met my match.
I know! I'm so thrilled that you chose this film because like you said, it wouldn't have been on my list.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you said it, I was like, it's obviously the most romantic film ever made.
Yeah.
So 1997 by James Cameron. Now, James Cameron was very well respected and he was known for more like sci-fi action films like Terminator and Alien. And he wrote and directed Titanic. And I remember at the time, even though I was very young, I was a little nerd. And I remember reading in Empire magazine at the time that people thought he was crazy. Like he was just obsessed with this boat.
Yeah.
And actually,
well, the budgets were insane.
Well, look at it now. It was a $200 million budget, right? Which is loads for 1996. But... you know, not that much, but then it did actually cost more than the boat itself cost to build.
No, shut up. Yeah, really?
The film did. Yeah. And James spent more time on the boat or in the boat than any of the passengers ever did because he was up and down to it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, in his submersible, which we all know now is probably not a good idea. He just wanted a reason to keep diving to the boat, so he pitched the film and it became a reality. And then people were talking for ages about how long it took to film and how it was kind of plagued with issues, but he's a known super perfectionist.
Yes, yeah. But even, and thank God he is, because we've been left with this beautiful classic.
And look at it now. I watched it the other day and it really holds up.
Oh, it does.
That was the first time that they'd ever kind of duplicated people in crowd scenes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look bad.
It
even
actually,
now.
I think some of the CGI looks better than the stuff that's made now.
I agree.
I think they pioneered a lot of that sort of stuff. Yeah. Another little fact I love about the Titanic is the exact time of the movie is the exact time the Titanic took to sink.
No way. 3 hours and 7 minutes.
Whatever it is. I think it's 2 hours and something. Oh no, is it not 3 hours?
It's 3-7.
Yeah, so whatever that to the second is from the time the iceberg hit to sink. I love that.
Oh my God.
That's real James Cameron though, little Easter eggs.
Yes.
Absolutely everywhere.
He's the king of Easter eggs. Before Taylor Swift, there was James Cameron.
Laying eggs all over the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't explain how this film makes me feel. Like even the other day must be my 50, 60th time watching it. And I was giddy as a teenager for the first half, for the romantic half.
Do you know what Titanic is? It's like, it's a meal.
It is a meal.
Do you know some movies are like snacks?
Yes.
And you might watch 3 of them.
Yeah.
The Titanic is like, it's like going to chapter 1 or something. It's like a 9-course meal. It's just delicious. You can get really into it. You can kind of go away for a little minute and come back.
Well,
and the fact you know it off by heart, it's good to just have on.
Yeah.
And you can dip in and out. It's just so meaty.
When I was watching it last week, I texted you and said I'm only watching the happy bit today because I'm not physically able.
But you can.
As soon as that hand goes up on the window for the sex scene,
back out.
The iceberg's about to hit. Yeah,
and
step
to this
away.
day, I'm like, please miss it, please miss it.
I
please
know.
You
that's
just
the thing.
think, and just don't.
But like I said, it still really holds up, and I was squealing the entire first act of it. Like honestly, like. Jack Dawson winning that game of poker and getting on the ship and flicking his fringe and just he still absolutely kills me.
And his skin is just flawless.
He's a beauty.
It's so gorgeous.
Honestly, he's the blueprint for my romantic life. Jack, as opposed to Leonardo DiCaprio, who's not quite as a romantic hero. So it's kind of impossible to overstate its influence on pop culture. Like from the fact that I'll never let go is said all the time. That I'm the king of the world on the front of the ship. We'll get to some of the quotes
and
later.
It's used in another movie I know you love and I love actually.
Yes,
there's a scene
Jack
from
and
Titanic
Rose
in that
with Liam Neeson and That Strange Child.
Yes, The Strange Child.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, what makes it so, it adds an extra layer of drama to it is the fact that it actually happened. Like we don't know about obviously the people. Was there a Jack and Rose? We'll never know. But the event happened, and that just adds that layer of horror to this kind of. And it was such a spectacular event. The Titanic sinking, like it would have looked mental if anybody had been there to see it.
I also think the fact we have such a close connection to Ireland.
Yes.
It was built in Ireland by Irish people.
Loads of Irish people on it.
And then its last port was Queenstown, now known as Cove.
Yeah.
And I just love all those little connections. Do you know, have you been to Cove?
I have, yeah.
Did you see they still have the actual, they built a pier that would have taken the little dinghy boats over to the Titanic. But it's kind of rotting. And I'm like, hello.
Preserve that.
Preserve it. Like,
oh my
because
gosh.
they have the little Titanic museum beside it, which is quite cool. But the pier is kind of like falling into the water. I'm like,
Typical.
that's it, an international treasure.
Yeah, because it went from Southampton to Cherbourg to round to Cove. And then out into the ocean.
And then took off. So we were at its last stop. And there's actually, I was listening to the radio the other day, and when it docked in Queenstown or Cove, loads of people got on, like the mayor of Cork got on, loads of photographers, local media, they all got on and it's kind of like when the cruises dock in Dublin and they bring people
I went on the Disney cruise for a day.
So they did the same. They brought people to start writing about, they all brought all journalists over, and then they brought all these Irish lace makers, so these kind of lace makers, and then they went and like tried to sell their wares to all the like rich Americans and rich English people. So there was this like, you know, hoo-ha when it docked in Cove, and they took a few, its last photo was taken in Cove.
And they all got off, I presume.
They all got off in the end, including, have you heard about the cat?
No.
So
they had my heart go on.
They brought a cat on board, and that was like, you know, there's loads of omens about the Titanic. Loads of these things happen. There's some conspiracy theory that it's not actually the Titanic, it's the Olympic.
Yeah, that's
they switched it for insurance and all that. But one of the cats, a cat got on. They had cats to help with the rats or whatever.
Yeah, and they pet dogs as well.
Yeah, and usually the cats love on the boat or whatever because they can eat loads of mice. But this cat like was seen getting off in Cherbourg.
Was it a black cat?
It was a black cat.
Oh my God, they know things.
They know things.
Those little kitties, they know things.
Yeah.
So it was an industry darling as much as it was a commercial success, right? So won 11 Oscars, tied for the most Oscars ever won. Do you know what it's tied with?
Oh no.
Ben-Hur.
Oh.
And The Lord of the Rings. So at the time, it was only Ben-Hur that had won more Academy Awards.
That to me
than
is
Titanic.
like from the 30s.
I think it is from the 30s, yeah. Charlton Heston.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant tied for an Academy Award.
Yeah, I do. There was films in the 30s.
Yeah, but why is oh no, they weren't up at the same time.
No.
Sorry, that's what I thought you were
so they both have you got tied. They both have 11 Academy Award wins.
Oh, okay. Did Jack win Best Actor?
Jack wasn't even nominated.
Did Rose win?
Kate was nominated, but she did not win.
That's outrageous.
It is outrageous. Yeah.
Who won in that category, do you know?
Oh jeez, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll look it up. We'll put it in the show notes. So I mean, it's the kind of event, right, that if you had it happen now, people would be TikToking it.
I know.
So I think there's something to it that, you know, it's still very much alive in people's imagination, even though everybody that was on it, I think, is now dead. Yeah. And it's this oral history that's been passed down in such vivid memory that somebody could make a film that looked so accurate to the time.
Do you know it when it went down originally, all the experts and, you know, before it was found were like, no, it landed on the seafloor in one piece, and all these women who were in the lifeboats were like, we saw it crack in two.
And of course they don't listen to the women.
They didn't believe them. Yeah.
That's mental,
and they're like, no, we saw it crack in two.
That's the bit of the film. We'll get to it eventually, but I find most haunting is when they're on the boats watching it sink and watching the people in the water and don't go back for fear of being mobbed.
Yeah. Well, another thing, the movie, as much as we love it, there was a few inaccuracies.
Oh,
and one of them was that everyone's kind of watching the ship calmly. You couldn't see the ship. All you saw was fire, explosions, and like the lights in the windows, and then screaming. So I can't even, like, that's so much scarier terrifying than seeing it in clear, you know, moonlight.
And being so freezing, like it would just be the most. I can't imagine it.
No,
it's
and I'm
horrifying.
So like, I get bothered so easily by the cold and stuff. I can't imagine like how long you were in the water, or even in those lifeboats. Must have been so uncomfortable and scary.
If I was on it in a past life, I was definitely a poor Irish person who died because I wasn't making it. I
think I was cancel me or whatever. I think I would have been. I have a child.
You would have been Billy Zane.
I would have been wearing a little wig, like get me on the lifeboats.
And you would have had a wig with you, of course.
I feel like you would have. I always think about it. I think I would have made it. I would have been under Molly Brown's skirt.
Oh my God, I
something.
love that. I think you would as well. Knowing you, I think you would have made it as well. Do you know what was really refreshing for me with this film is that people have their own teeth. There isn't a turkey tooth in sight in Titanic.
That's
Everyone
true.
has their own face.
Yeah.
It even predates Botox. So Kate Winslet is meant to be playing a 17-year-old. Now,
Which
she was
hilarious.
only 22 at the time, but she looks a lot older because she just has that like classic face, doesn't she?
Well, it's like when you watch Saved by the Bell, they're all like 50 walking around high school, like hello fellow students.
It's crazy, but like she was just the perfect casting. I think Kate Winslet had starred in Heavenly Creatures, which is a kind of British sexy film about teenage girls, and she was was in Sense and Sensibility as well a couple of years before, but she wasn't a star by any stretch to be cast in this film with Leonardo DiCaprio at the peak post Romeo and Juliet of his.
Do you know what
appeal.
I love about her as well? And well, you less hear from Leonardo DiCaprio, but how fond she is
they love
of the
each
movie.
other.
Well, of each other, but also how fondly Kate, speaks of the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas some people, actors and stuff, like, I don't know, they kind of ignore the fact
like
they're
to
in
play
Harry
it down.
Potter, or
Yeah.
they play down their part in Lord of the Rings. If they're so known for a part, some people get allergic to it. It's like Madonna kind of is allergic when people are like, play Vogue or something.
Right,
They
okay.
don't want to be,
Associated with it forever.
But Kate Winslet, she gushes when she speaks about it in interviews, which I absolutely love.
Because she apparently had an amazing experience, even though she like chipped her elbow and got hypothermia. And but there was rumours that her and Leo had a little onset romance, which I would totally believe.
How
well,
could
he was
you
rumoured
not?
exactly.
They're both hot.
And after Romeo and Juliet, he was rumoured to have been with Claire Danes as well, and that apparently was drama between the two girls. Then,
gas!
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't know
lots
about
of behind the
that.
scenes goss about like the romances and stuff. But yeah, it's so. Let's talk about the film, okay?
Yeah.
So Titanic. When did you first see it? So you were 8 years old.
8
you
years
went
old
with your
in
mum.
the cinema, yeah.
And why did you want to go and see it? Had you just heard it was this big romantic epic?
I'm trying to think, like, chronologically, was I obsessed with the Titanic before the movie? I think the movie got me onto Titanic.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I think I saw it just like everyone else.
Yeah.
It's just a big thing. I think
It was the big film of the year.
It was a big film, and I think my mum, my brother and sister are a good bit older than me, so I was kind of laughing.
You have a sister, do you?
I have a
Because
sister.
sometimes you forget.
Hello, Anne. I know she'll be listening. So my mum calls her Rob Kardashian because she's always the less known
Oh
one.
my god, brilliant.
But my brother and sister had kind of flown the nest well by the
Right,
time I
okay.
was in my teen or 8, 9 or whatever it was.
So your mum's little pal.
I was glued to my mum.
Yeah.
When she go to the cinema, I go to the cinema.
Yeah.
So I think I went with her just because it was happening. But I don't have a lot of memories from that young. I think I've destroyed them from partying, my
Fair.
brain a bit.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that movie and like the effect it had on me and
So
the
how did it make you
obsession.
feel?
It made me feel like I've never felt before. It was just like rushes of emotion, like just falling in love with Kate and Leo and the two of them together, and then the heartbreak of him dying. It was like the movie gives you everything. It gives you every emotion, like excitement,
Anger.
love,
Rage.
you hate Cal or
Yeah.
whatever. One thing though, I've grown in
Do you
my
fancy
time.
Cal now?
Oh, I think Cal's a ride.
Yeah, big time.
To me, when I remember him younger, he was ugly, but I obviously just saw his personality.
But we were just children. We didn't get that he's actually really handsome and slick.
He's gorgeous, but also sometimes I'm like, actually, he was kind of fab. He was like
was totally fab.
giving her that necklace.
Oh no, he was a very angry man.
He was.
So it was a sense he might have
but
slapped her
sorry,
around a bit.
why was he an angry man? Because he saw her fucking cheating with him. I saw her
But
riding Leo.
he knew
Would
she
you
didn't
not be
wanna-
angry?
No, she wasn't riding Leo at that point. That was she had just been dancing with him.
I fair enough. She was a bit. He was a.
No, she was a bit
stern.
hurry. Look, she was a bit
She
hurry,
was hurry.
for an engaged woman. But what was he doing marrying a 17-year-old who clearly didn't want to marry him?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we gaslit him a bit too much. I think the mother, who I'm
Oh.
obsessed with, Frances Fisher, but she was the meddler. Let's be
Absolutely.
real. I love her when she's tying her corset. And
Yes.
she's like,
Reefing her.
Reefing her. And it's just, there's layers of meaning to it all, like restrictions
Yes.
for women back then with the corset. But then being like, our name is the final name we have,
Yeah.
or we have left to
The
play.
money's gone,
The money's
Rose.
gone. And all she cares about, she doesn't want to be a seamstress.
Yeah,
That's
do-
all she cares. She's like, you don't want to see me working as a seamstress?
The worst thing you could possibly be. It's like, girl,
our-
that's a good job. Yeah, come on, hon.
Yeah, the shade.
Like you
The
wonder.
seamstress.
So it's kind of implied that the father gambled their money away,
Yes.
and Rose is the saving grace, which was the way it was for women. They had to marry for status.
Yeah.
If their mothers wanted to be kept in the style they were accustomed to,
Of course.
and not
And
have to be a seamstress.
I get it. Like, I get Rose's ma. I'd be like trying to stay in my finery. I don't want to,
I mean,
go to third
I
class.
often wonder, like, did the events of Titanic change her because she thinks that Rose died on the boat because Rose gave a fake name?
Yeah.
You're like, did she cop onto herself, or did she have to work as a seamstress because she
I'd
had no
also-
daughter to pimp out anymore?
I'd never give up that name, Duipicator.
Duipicator.
Stunning.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Imagine trying to spell that for people.
I know, but what I wanted to say about the Cal thing is I think we kind of gaslit him over the years because really, truly, it was Rose's mother who was manipulating that whole
Yeah, she
situation,
was.
saying, no, Rose adores you, Rose
Yeah.
loves you, and then going to Rose, no, this is the best. Whereas Cal was just maybe falling a bit in love, and then he saw Rose cheating on him.
No, he was a very controlling, angry man.
But
and
is
I
that
think
not
he thought she'd be a
because
trophy
Is
for
that not
him.
because because he saw her cheating with Rose.
No, before
this
that
comes
even.
from Rose and Jack Stan, by the way.
Yeah,
but I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Beforehand, he was always like dismissive of her, and you know, like he did. She said, like, you can keep me in your box. Like he just wanted her to behave exactly. Now Rose was a bit of a renegade. Like, you know, she was a brat. Don't get me wrong.
She's the original
but
brat.
when he like swipes things off the table, you feel like he slapped her around a bit. I felt like that anyway.
Well, he did in
he
the
was
movie.
Aggressive.
He slapped her.
He just slaps her across the face eventually. Yeah. The bits even before that, he's intimidating. He's like growling at her.
He's like, you will be my wife. You will.
Now, do we think that they've had sex? Because he says to her at some point, "Oh, you didn't come to me last night."
Well,
I feel like they've been riding because they're engaged.
Not supposed to be. Back then, you weren't.
Don't think she was a virgin in that carriage, though.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
So there's lots of Rose is a renegade in many ways.
Do you know what I'm wondering? They would have had sex in that car. Didn't they just pull out or like?
I wouldn't say so, James.
Is there a baby? Like,
could she have had his baby?
Had his baby. Yeah.
There's Titanic too.
Yeah, she could have given it away because it was of the time or whatever.
Oh my God, James! Someone ring James Cameron.
They also didn't have a condom with them.
No, I doubt they did. I don't think they even had condoms back then.
Yeah,
this is very interesting.
Yeah.
Emissions.
This could be a bumper. Let's just do 6 episodes.
Yeah, we could just talk about this the whole time. So I was going to get to the romance.
Okay.
Which we kind of are already. We're talking about jizz.
Yeah. Jack's jizz.
Jizz. So get things back on track. The meet cute is actually not a meet cute because it's him rescuing her from a suicide attempt.
Yes.
At the back of the ship. So she's trying to jump off the ship because she feels so oppressed and so trapped by her mother and by Callum, by the weight of expectation.
That you know, that running scene with the dress and the beads.
So glamorous.
So beautiful.
So glamorous.
Yeah.
She's like clinking down the ship and everyone's like, ooh.
Bursts past your one.
He obviously is he's having a smoke and he sees her and he's like, well, I'm going to talk this bitch back because I can't let her jump.
Because if you fall into the sea, 1,000 knives will be stabbing you all over.
And I'll have to jump after you.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have come straight back over the railing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm grand.
And on him.
So yeah, it's not the cutest meet cute of all time, but it is super effective because straight away she's honest with him in a way she's never been honest with anybody else in her life.
And it's so deep. Like there's loads to it. There's the whole, as you're right, there's like domestic shit going on with her and Cal, and deals with the depression and class. And
like he's seen her from afar before this. He's been gazing at her on the deck.
And your man, the Irish actor, goes, "You'd want to have angels fly out of your arse."
Yes, and he's right normally, but he's like, you can see him, he's been hit by the thunderbolt. He's just like, oh my God. So to see her in such a vulnerable position, like, it is a great opportunity for him to be the hero, but he's just such a good guy. He just really wanted to help her. And straight away, Cal is just trying to like get him in trouble. He's just like, get this steerage passenger away from me. But he gets invited to dinner, and that's where the real magic happens.
Oh yeah, with Molly Brown.
She kind of gussies him
Kathy
up.
Bates.
So he's like, you know, wearing his ordinary clothes, and she's like, no, I have tux with me, put it on. And he's gorgeous, and he holds his own, and Rose is so impressed, and it's just
They meet by the clock.
And he says, do you want to go to a real party?
Yeah.
And they go below deck to an Irish hoolie. And I remember at the time being really proud to be Irish.
I know.
Because
that's maybe another reason, because there were so many Irish connections.
Yeah. But like the band was called Gaelic Storm, and they were playing this amazing, like invigorating Irish music that I wasn't familiar with, because at the time I was just familiar with like ballads and Shamno songs, whereas this was like proper
rave,
like
Irish music.
It was brilliant, and they're having the best time ever, and she's down in pints of Guinness, and I remember just being like, this is amazing.
And I loved Cora, the little girl.
Yeah,
that little
sub-story.
Cora. We were Cora because we fancied.
But Cora died.
Jack. Did Cora die?
Yeah, she was behind the gate when all the water started rushing in.
Oh, I didn't cop that.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Cora.
R.I.P. Cora. But like the hand on the window, it was probably one of the first sex scenes that I understood as a child. Like I knew what they were doing. I didn't know the ins and outs of it, but I knew what they were up to. And it's classic 90s, because she has a blanket over her, covering her whole body. Yeah. And they're just panting away.
And the sweat
the steam
on
them.
But they were beside the furnaces.
Yes, they were.
So that's why they were so
They'd
sweaty.
run through the furnaces together.
It was so steamy.
She says, put your hands on me, Jack. Yeah. And I remember being like, Jesus!
Oh, she also says before that, take me to the stars.
Oh my God.
When he's been the driver.
So it's so romantic. It is. Like, it gives me chills to think about it.
I think it's probably like the most stunning, like, sexy scene in a movie. Yeah.
Because they'd already kissed on the hull of the boat in the, you know, the position where she's flying.
Yeah.
It's all just so beautiful, but it's throughout, it's cut with scenes of the old lady being like, well, that was the end of that.
Yeah.
You know? That was the last night of it.
I love how it like flicks to the submarine and then they're all just like
they're all like
staring.
panting.
Yeah.
And she said that was the most erotic moment of my life. And I'm like, yes, bitch, get it. They're so madly in love. I feel every beat of their hearts, and it just really imprinted on me in a way that I kind of blame James Cameron for me being such a hopeless romantic
I
now.
know. I love when you talk about jumping off the ship. A character I grew to love was Rose's mother.
Yes.
I just think she's so iconic. Remember, she's at the side of the ship. The ship is sinking. People are dying. And she's like, "Are the lifeboats seated according to clock? I hope they're not too comfortable." Like, iconic line.
It's so iconic.
Yeah.
It's...
And then Rose is like, what does Rose say? "There's not enough lifeboats on this ship for even half the people." And then Carl's like, "Not the better half.
Yeah. Oh, he's a wanker.
But like Rose's mum doesn't even want to be inconvenienced by a third class person sitting near her.
She doesn't even want to be cold or touched by anyone or to smell anyone or anything. Like, she's just
love her.
But you do see it through her eyes when she's watching it sink. She's realizing
she gets
the
horrified.
horror.
Yeah. I see a lot of them actually, and this is true, a lot of them thought the ship was sinking a little bit and they'd all get in the lifeboats and they get back on again.
Stop.
No. All of them thought it was just a little routine. They'd get off for a sec and everything because it was the unsinkable.
Yes,
no
and
one
that pisses
thought.
me off so much throughout. It's like, never say that. Just never. And the whole time they're like, "Our ship's unsinkable."
But
Rose.
they did. If you look at all the old posters,
I know.
it says the unsinkable. It's like they cursed it.
It's just bad copywriting.
Yeah,
like that just pisses
nothing
me
is
off.
unsinkable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's made of metal.
And then when the guy who's been shouting on about it being unsinkable is like, "I'm sorry, I didn't build you a better ship there, Rose." And you're like, "Dude, you sold this badly." It's crazy. Mr. Ismay.
Yeah.
And the one of them, actually, Ismay gets off the boat.
It's
Irish
Jonathan
fella
Andrews.
Mr.
Andrews.
He's the one that stays on and he gets locked,
and
which
he
I think
does
is what I would do.
The clock thing.
He does the clock that he sets the time that it'll sink.
I know. I'm thinking, would I get locked or no? I'd go into survive mode. I'd be off. I'd be with a child.
I think I'd just lie down and die.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've not.
You know the old people in the thing?
In the bed. Yeah, that'd be me and Joe.
You and Joe.
But I always say that, like,
I'd be with my bad wig on the boat.
Hello,
ladies. Yeah. Very cold in here, isn't it?
I'd believe it. I truly believe you would have a wig with you as well. So,
absolutely,
honestly.
Yeah.
But like, I just think if there was like Armageddon, I'd want to be one of the first people vamoosed because I don't want to put up with any of the bad stuff.
Fair.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd just be like,
that's bad.
I'd be like, if it's going, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know, like that's probably terrible. I'm sorry. Anyway, so let's talk about the stars and how much they meant to us. So Kate, as I said, was a relative unknown. She'd been in kind of artsy flicks up until then, and she did look very 1912. She just had that face. She had that Rubenesque look about her.
A porcelain doll.
Yeah. And then obviously she went on to great heights. Her relationships have been interesting. I'm pretty sure she's still married to a guy called Ned Rock'n'Roll.
What?
Yes. He's like Richard Branson's nephew or something like that.
Oh,
His name is
gosh.
Ned Rock'n'Roll.
Ah.
Yeah. So she's been happily married for a while.
Nice.
Leo, on the other hand, we know he has a cutoff.
Yes.
I think his current girlfriend might be 26 though, which shows growth.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's nice to hear.
I remember when I aged out of Leo's like age range, I was like, oh, that's it. That's that dream gone.
I'm done.
I might as well. I'm an old crone.
Yeah.
Leo won't want me. But they both went on to have these like miraculous careers, like unbelievable. And like you said, Leo doesn't love talking about Titanic, and I don't think he loves
talking.
Well, true. He's pretty.
You don't know a lot about him.
No,
I never
on
hear.
purpose. You know that he likes the environment.
He loves the environment. Yeah,
you know that, but no, he doesn't really talk about his personal life.
No, it's
and
because
that makes
he
it more
has
intriguing.
such a juicy personal life. I think he wouldn't want to talk.
Yeah.
Like he's a bit of a sesh head.
Such a sesh head.
He was in Ibiza there the other. Like I'd love a night out with Leo.
Oh, love a night out with Leo. Like he in the 90s, around the time the Titanic, when he got really famous, he hung around with a group of actors and Toby Maguire, a couple of others, and they were known as the Pussy Posse.
Oh my God.
So they had a great time in Hollywood when they were young, but it just feels like Leo just never stopped having that good time, and then he gets older but nobody else does. But they're still very close, Leo and Kate. They have a bond after like spending so much bloody time in the water on that film. And found that quite traumatic, even though like it was all worth it in the end.
You know that scene where she takes her coat off and goes in and she's like, oh, that's like she didn't know it would be that cold.
Yes.
So that's all
literally
there's a lot of reactions
getting assaulted by water.
Yeah. There's a lot of reactions that are real, and even like water gushing in and stuff. He didn't really tell the extras and stuff how pressure it would be. So that's why it looks so real.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the famous quotes. So we've said some already, but it's been 84 years.
Yes.
That's been made
and
famous.
I can still
by
smell
memes.
the fresh paint. Oh. The sheets have never been slept
Well, you
in.
can talk along with it. Oh my God.
One of my nichey ones is, do you remember when they get off or Rose? Oh, remember
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The hand comes out.
It doesn't look any bigger than the
Mauritania. Yeah. But then also, you remember they're talking about where to put the luggage.
Yes.
Do you know what Rose's room number is?
No.
B52, 54, 56.
Wow. You're even better than me. Maybe you should host this podcast. Co-hosts.
Yeah.
One that I say all the time, that both the boatman played by Bill Paxton and the granny, the old lady, say is, well, I'll be goddamned.
Oh, I love that.
When they see the picture that Jack painted or drew for the first time, I'll be goddamned.
I always say when I want something from William or want something, I'm like, I'd like to see my drawing. Remember she says that?
Yes.
But I say that for my phone or whatever. I'd like to see my drawing.
So let's talk about the drawing.
Oh, yeah.
So another very sexy point of the film. Have they even kissed at this point? They think they've kissed. They have. They've come down from the whole...
Okay.
They've come down from the...
Is that not the bow?
Is it? I don't know. See, I hate boats. I don't know. They've come down from the front bit of the boat.
What did you say initially?
The hull.
I think the hull is
the
like
back?
the bleeding bottom of it or something.
Look, we're not boat people.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Like
someone
Google it. We'll put it in the show notes. They come down anyway, and Rose has got the horn, right?
Yes,
she's like,
nipples are hard.
Yes, and a very often misquoted quote. People say, "Paint me like one of your French girls." She says, "Draw me like one of your French girls." Jack.
Yes,
and she gives him a nickel.
Yeah, she's a
just
paying
a gamey
customer.
Bitch. I'm obsessed with her. And then she disrobes. And actually, one thing that I have a bit of trivia, when he says to her, "Sit in the bed," I mean the couch, that really happened.
Oh no way!
Yeah, that was Leo.
Was he a bit flustered?
He was a bit flustered.
Oh my god!
Eye to nipple, like probably
and
for the
her
first
breasts,
time.
like
she's
gorgeous.
Magnificent. Like now that I know she was only 22, I'm like, right, I get it. But she's a nubile body.
Yes.
But that's such a sexy scene because the tension is just building the whole time when he's sketching her. Do you know whose hands they are?
It's not Leo's. It's an actual
it's
artist.
James Kavanagh or James Kavanagh.
It's mine, exclusive.
It's James Cameron.
Age 7 or whatever it was.
Imagine drawing ditties.
Shut up! It's James
Cameron. Yeah,
I just thought it was an artist.
No, it's his because he likes to draw.
So he drew that.
He made this film so he could do all the stuff he likes, and I really appreciate that, James Cameron. Like, fair play to you.
I thought I knew everything.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
One of my favourite, Put Your Hands on Me, Jack, is another fave.
Yes.
But this is a great one. I'd rather be his whore than
your wife.
Oh my god.
And she always goes, "You unimaginable bastard."
Yeah, brilliant.
And spits on him.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Spitting out. Don't like
yeah,
spitting.
but like, you know, she's
There's
getting all
a bit too
jacked
much
though.
spitting in this film.
I'm really gaggy about like bodily fluids.
It's
and
like
spitting
Hawk
and stuff.
Tua girl was
the
on.
Hawk Tua. You remember they're spitting off the thing of the ship and he swallows.
And he has some on his
disgusting.
face the first time her mother meets him.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of...
Another quote I love is when they're all sitting at dinner and Jack has his alliance with Kathy Bates, Molly Brown. And she's
I
like...
love her.
And it actually helped me if you're in a formal situation. Where do you start on the outside and work your way in?
I've applied that to many a press dinner that we've been at. Many a press dinner. So let's talk about the music because it's such a huge part of it, right? So as a child who thought she died on the Titanic, I used to sob along to the CD on my Discman.
The blue
in bed
CD
at night, and I'd be howling and there's no words to any of the music, so I'd just be making them up.
Do you know Enya was supposed to do it? And she said no.
Oh my God, what an
for reasons I don't
wagon.
know, but it was supposed to be Enya, and it makes sense because it is very
it's her
Enya-y.
haunting-y kind of vocal.
Yes.
So the score was composed by James Horner, and I actually just watched another one of his films, The Pelican Brief, the other night.
Oh, James.
And he's brilliant. Yeah, and lots of Jameses. He's brilliant at like bringing the setting very much into the score. So in The Pelican Brief, there's loads of bird sounds. In Titanic, there's loads of boat sounds.
Yes.
And at the beginning, when it's all optimistic and happy, like there's like happy boat sounds. And then when the iceberg hits, there's like that's gorgeous, isn't it?
That needs to be a cutout.
That does need to be a cutout. But like it's like the boat is talking to you through the music.
Oh my God,
throughout.
I never clocked that, but that is
it's
true.
all tinkly and like
I love listening to the Titanic soundtrack when I'm driving, and I feel like I'm driving a ship. It's great for driving. Take Me to See Mr. Murdoch is a great
That's
song.
a very invigorating song.
It is, and it's really like go. And it has those happy boat sounds.
It does have happy boat sounds.
It's great for country driving.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And then obviously the love theme is so beautiful.
I think it's called just
piano.
Rose.
Rose, it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous. And that starts when they're on the front of the boat. Who knows what that's called?
Yes.
And kind of continues continues. And then, everything changed. As soon as the iceberg hits, the music kind of becomes a bit military. There's like loads of clanking and loads of metallic sounds.
Yeah.
And it's just so evocative. And he won an Oscar rightfully for the film's music. But James Cameron
Did he do Jurassic Park as well?
No, that was the very famous fellow, John Williams.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's a few. James Horner is no longer with us.
They are the sound of the 90s,
They are.
aren't they?
Yeah.
I love all of that.
Incredible.
Big, juicy, expensive sounds.
Yeah, so expensive.
Movies.
Yeah, I love it. But he won his Oscar. He died in 2016. R.I.P. We love you, James. And
did he die in really tragically?
Oh God, I hope not.
I think he did. James Horner.
Yeah.
He died in a helicopter crash or
Oh
something.
my
really
God.
something really tragic. Yeah.
Okay, we'll look that up and stick it in the show notes as well if you want to go cry.
Yeah.
So James Cameron didn't want a big pop song for the end of the film.
I love this fact. I thought I was going to tell you
No,
this.
I know the fact. He thought that it would be selling out after such a somber ending to have like a big chart song.
Yeah.
But Celine Dion kind of insisted. Well, first she didn't want to do it, and then she got obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And her husband Renee was like, "You should really do this." And then it became so synonymous with the film. It actually, in some parts, was bigger than the film.
Yeah.
Like it's still her kind of her
It's
song.
her song.
My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
Do you know the other fact about it?
Tell me.
So she, there was obviously a bit of, she didn't want to do it, then she wanted to do it. Her husband at the time kind of pushed her to do it type thing. But the person, not the James Cameron, but the representative from the movie who kind of wanted it as well, was like, please just do a recording. So she's like, fine. She was in Vegas at the time and she went to a local studio, did the recording, sent it off. That was that. Then she got a call. Yeah, it's perfect. One take.
Oh, I knew that.
That's the only one.
It's the only one.
Yeah,
I did. I knew it was a one take.
I knew that too.
But James Cameron was then so easily persuaded because obviously one listen to that song and you're like,
it. There was no few re-records.
But it's Celine Dion, James.
I know. Yeah.
Have you ever seen her in real life?
No.
I saw her in Vegas on my honeymoon, and I think I was more excited about that than anything else to do with any of the honeymoon.
Were her tickets like €1 million?
No, like it was 2017. I think they were like 300 each, maybe.
Worth it.
But it was one of the most exhilarating nights of my life. And God bless Joe, sat next to me, loved every minute of it. Thought she was hot then about halfway through. She was like, she's a great pair of legs.
Yeah,
but I
she
nearly
does.
missed My Heart Will Go On because I went out to the loo.
Oh my God.
And you have to be in your seat, like they have all the doors closed and stuff, and there's a big water. She
I'd be
rises
devastated.
up on water. I would have been and like the girl on the door saw my face and was like, run to your seat.
She's another one. Remember I was saying how like Kate Winslet speaks about Titanic so fondly, she doesn't put it down. Same with Celine Dion. She loves My Heart Will Go On.
And it's iconic. And in the 90s, music videos were so brilliant when they were a film soundtrack because they had loads of clips from the film. So I recorded it because the VHS took a full year to come out. Right? And I was obviously manic and I had gone out of cinemas and I needed my fix. So I recorded the video and it was like an extra long. It was like 5.5 minutes or something. And I used to just sit there and watch that. And they had the bit where Leo's drawn and he flicks his fringe out of his eyes. And then Celine in her silvery blue dress on the front of the boat, but on a green screen, obviously.
Yeah.
And I remember just being completely enchanted with it.
I know, it was gorgeous. And again, that it felt expensive as well.
Everything is. That's honestly, I truly feel
Nothing's
like
expensive
my
anymore.
aesthetic was wholly like influenced by Titanic.
Yeah.
Like I like 1912 things.
And she wore to the premiere. She wore a Heart of the Ocean replica, but it was like from Tiffany or
what
something.
a gas
Like
bitch.
it was,
I'm just obsessed with
yeah.
her.
She
my
really
God.
got into it. Like.
So I mean, we've really talked about Titanic, and I could talk about it a lot more.
2.5 hours long.
2.5 hours long. But at this point, I don't want to talk about the ending because people just annoy me about the feckin' door and whether or not Jack.
Spoiler alert.
Jack could have got on
talk
it.
about the ending.
No, well, you've already said it. You've already said he died. So the boat sinks. Like at that point I definitely would have given up because it looked horrifying. People were just like, no, I'm out. But they like are literally on the top of the boat like as it sinks, almost like it's a ride of some sort.
Yeah, it was very roller coastery.
And they end up with a bit of debris and Rose leaps up in it.
It was
she's
a
still
door
freezing.
frame.
It was a door, yeah.
Door frame,
and she's
actually.
still shaking. She's still freezing, but she's okay. She can manage. And Jack's like, shit, I'm not going to get on that. Now, they could have taken turns perhaps, but they'd just been through a lot.
I've never thought of that because I'm like, shut up when someone says they could both fit on. They couldn't. It would have totally would have, and they've proven it. They've done a few experiments, but they taken turns, and they would have kept them warm.
Exactly, a little workout. But like I said, they'd just been through a lot.
Yeah,
so maybe they were a bit traumatized.
They weren't thinking.
Yeah, and Rose gets fished out by the hot man who then ended up in
he's
loads of
so
things.
hot. We were talking about him recently.
Yeah, we were. Johan Grufford.
Yes,
he has a wife now that he's going through a difficult divorce, shall we say? And I'm just automatically team Johan because he says, "Is there anyone alive out there?" And she's like, I'm here,
And he goes, come about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it flashes forward to the mad old bitch taking the heart of the ocean out of her jacket pocket that everyone's looking for and just fecking it in the sea. And then, do you think that she goes and dies in her bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, because not everyone agrees with me. They just think she's sleeping.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I think she dies.
I think once it's all out, she's told
because
her
she goes
story.
back to her spirit goes back to the boat.
That's she could just be dreaming.
She could be dreaming, yeah. Do you know have you seen the alternative ending?
No. Oh my God, break
If
my heart.
anyone hasn't seen it, it's like, what's that thing they do in England, the red nose, and they take the piss
Comic
out
relief.
of things. It's like a comic relief
How
scene.
dare they?
It's insane. Basically, there's one where she kind of keeps it and they all hysterically laugh, and it's
The necklace.
so weird. She kind of keeps the necklace, yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, and they all come up in the boat and hysterically laugh, and she's
they're
like,
rich.
"I have to," something like that. But it's like a piss take.
Oh my
Look
gosh.
it up.
Like the Heart of the Ocean became so iconic that it's even in a Britney Spears music video. Like
dropped it in the ocean.
Yeah, this is how culturally significant Titanic was. Like
Yeah.
it informed the late 90s in general.
Yeah.
But yes, Rose at the end, which is the bit that gets me the most, is when she walks onto the boat of ghosts and you can see that it's everyone that
I
died.
Bawl at that bit all of the time.
And Jack is there and he's just perfect and they're so happy.
And even when we're talking about how good the graphics and stuff are, that bit where it's all the shit's coming back to life, it's so well done. Good.
Do you think, she says that she never told her husband about Jack, and she said some women's hearts are oceans of secrets. So do we think that Jack was the true love of her life and her husband was just a nice man that she had children with?
I think it's possible to have few loves.
Do you think?
To be honest, I don't think there is ever one love of your life.
Do you not think your ghost will pick one person to go back to?
Oh, that's your soul mate.
Yes,
maybe. Yeah.
Like,
And
I
I'd
bet
say
she was
he
like,
was-
I hope my ghost ends up with Jack.
And there's no one hotter than Leonardo DiCaprio in that era,
In
so she
1996.
definitely would have been going riding him than
I agree.
like going by her.
If you
ghost
could go back
husband.
to yourself at that
Sorry.
age as well, if
Yeah.
that's what that meant, I'd be like, yeah, I'll be 17 again with the hot guy from the boat.
So do you think they were just on the Titanic in heaven then, just riding around?
I hope
the
so.
Atlantic?
If there is an afterlife, well, maybe let them off the boat. It was a bit traumatic. Like.
Yeah. You might want to not go back on.
Yeah, I don't think
the
I'd
boat
ever
you
get in a
died.
boat ever
Yeah.
again. It's like in Grey's Anatomy when they're in a plane crash and then they keep making Meredith get on planes. I'm like, will you leave her alone? Like, trauma. James, thank you so much. We're going to finish by awarding this film one of our You Had Me at Hello cheesy popcorn ratings.
Oh.
So it's meant to be out of 5, but I want to give it like 36.
I'm giving it 46.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
It's the best movie ever made.
It is.
Full stop.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it
and
gives you
thank
everything.
Thank you so much. And
Anytime.
tell me about your own podcast.
Oh yes, it's called The Simpler Life ? With James Kavanagh and with James and William.
Oh my God, you forgot William's name.
I nearly forgot my name, but it's about our journey from Dublin to the country life, and we're kind of documenting the ups and downs of it, getting our chickens and growing our veg, and so it's a real fly in the wall.
So you did
type thing.
just do the move to the country for the content, right?
Literally, what people are saying is correct.
Do it for the plot.
I'll be back up when the content dries up. Yeah.
And tell us, Grower Air on Traw is coming back soon?
Yes, it's coming back in October, I think.
Amazing.
And it's juicier than ever.
So your whole life is now about love.
Yeah.
A
yeah.
podcast with your beloved.
It all started from
a
Titanic.
show about love, and it all started from Titanic.
Yeah.
James Kavanagh, thank you for being my guest.
Anytime.